Welcome to another episode of Travel Chicks podcast where we talk all things travel, transformation, and inspiration. Today's guest, I am thrilled to share with you Kellie Paxian. She is a travel content creator. The trips I have seen and witnessed, what she shares on Instagram just like kind of makes your mouth water and drop. She's a travel content creator, a writer, a safari specialist, and really, she plans these epic safaris and adventures for travelers all around the world. And, Kellie, thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I feel like we've chatted for like over the last few years, so I don't even know how we got connected in the first place, but I'm glad to be here.
Hmm. I think just being connected over the last couple years and the amazing epic trips. One of the things that we really believe in is travel has the power to transform humans from the inside out. And one of your recent videos on Instagram, I couldn't not stop watching it, and you were talking about getting out of your comfort zone. So, why don't you share with the listeners a little bit about your journey in travel and how it's truly transformed you, and then your intention to kind of get others on board with this idea that you need to get out of your comfort zone, and travel really does
Yeah.
have the power to transform you. So, take it away.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I know which video you're talking about. I mean, I travel has totally changed my life, and of course, I would encourage everyone to travel, whether that's like getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, doing weekend trips, doing a solo trip, coming with me on safari, anything that can get you out of your comfort zone will just show you like how strong you are, how resilient you are, how adaptive you are, and it will change your life. It definitely changed mine. I remember, so I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, your neighbor in Canada,
Mhm.
and I used to work at an office job in public relations, and I loved my life so much. I like never thought that I would leave my job in PR or live anywhere but Vancouver. But then I had this travel bug, so I went on a 6 month trip around the world, and I just remember being like, oh my God, there's so much more to life than being comfortable. Like, I really was taken by the adventure of it all and like came alive in a way that I'd never felt before. I went to Rwanda in Africa. I went gorilla trekking in Uganda. I came down to Cape Town, which is where I now call home, which is so crazy to be like living at the bottom of the African continent, something that I'd never expected. But it really is just like getting out there that showed me how amazing the world is and how much I wanted to like build a life outside of what I had been raised to, by society to think that that's the norm and that's the path that I go on. And so I'm kind of paving my own path now, and it's going pretty well so far, I would say.
Incredible. And, one of the things that comes to my mind, because a lot of our travelers are those solo females who
Yeah.
typically our traveler is in the older age category. So kind of middle age, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old.
Yeah.
And a lot of them come to us because they want to travel. Maybe they're divorced, maybe they've lost a significant other, and they don't
Mhm.
want those travel dreams to die. And so
Yeah.
as I'm listening to you share about your experience of travel, one of these ideas of safety and security, especially for a female, comes up. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious, being a female traveler, um, how do you overcome the idea of, you know, stepping onto a new territory that is completely unknown and, kind of uncertain? What kind of words of encouragement could you give to that traveler? Like,
Yeah, for
to
sure.
not
I
feel
mean,
scared.
for sure, because solo travel is possibly one of the scariest things, but it's definitely hands down one of the most rewarding things. Like I would say, like you're saying, if you're going through anything in life, a breakup, a loss, like a life change, like changing your path, like travel will get you where you need to be, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, more than anything else. I really, really believe that. Like I was that girl. I mean, like I said, I just had the travel bug. It wasn't like I was going through anything really tragic in life or anything, but I just felt this itch to like see if there was more out there. And I was, of course, scared, but I kind of like arranged to meet up with some friends around the globe, or if you were going to arrange for to meet up with like a group tour or something, just to give your travels like a little more of an agenda, so you're not like, okay, I'm out here in the world by myself. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Then you can kind of get through it, and once you overcome the fear of like getting out there and solo traveling, it will reward you in so many ways, like for the rest of your entire life. Like it is definitely the best thing that you can do for yourself, for really like getting to know yourself and realizing like how strong you are and you've got this. Like no one else is out there telling you what to do. You are choosing your own days. You are overcoming like any kind of challenges, because of course travel comes with its fair share of challenges. And then you have yourself to be proud of after that. I would recommend it to anyone. Like I would recommend travel to anyone however you can, but especially solo travel, I think just like makes you so strong, and it's
Mhm.
awesome.
I couldn't agree more. I remember the very first trip I took, with a girlfriend, and we went to Thailand. We really did not plan anything, and we were
Mhm.
super scared, but we just trusted. We trusted that everything was gonna work out, and I tell you, it was that trip for me that was like, "Whoa!" Like, it's
Yeah.
just getting over that one trip that really truly breaks your heart wide open. And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a great prescription. Travel therapy instead of like upping your medication dose. I mean, obviously, I'm
Yes.
like, yeah. So
Like
let's,
even
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even if you like take a weekend trip, like a road trip, like I just did my road trip to the Rockies, like it's just about getting outside of your like normal day-to-day bubble, and it gives you a greater perspective on like life as a whole. And you're like, oh, those day-to-day stressors were like nothing really. Like they're really insignificant, because when you're out, you're like, oh, this is what matters. And like the little things that we're dwelling on just matter so much less.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's the best. And then I mean, in terms of safety, like the world has your back as well, and other travelers have your back. Or if you're joining a group tour, like you'll find safety there. Like one of the first places I traveled was Cape Town, which is where I live now. And I still get people saying like, is it safe? Is it safe? And I'm like, okay, knock on wood, I've never had a problem. Like I think that if you are like mindful of your belongings and kind of stick to the more beaten tourist track, you're not going to run into any problems there that you wouldn't in your hometown or in any other place that you're traveling. So don't let like any safety concerns stop you from like getting out there and experiencing this and exploring, because it's like it'll get so in your head, but you don't want that to stop you from the rewards that it will bring.
Mhm. Yeah, and, just, going back to your, call it Rocky Mountain safari that you just took, um I it almost created this image in my mind because I'm from the Rocky Mountains area. So, I mean, the
Mhm.
mountains, it's like when you even just the road trip that you're talking about, when you get yourself out there and you're standing on the edge of a cliff after just a nice leisurely hike up the mountain and you just look around, it's like awe-inspiring. And what you just
It's
said
insane.
about, like, letting go of the, small cares and little minuscule things that we're worrying about,
Hmm.
it's like you're fully present with God's beautiful creation. Like,
Yeah.
and there's nothing. Like, it's like you just feel so small while you're, like, gazing at these massive mountains and beautiful
Yeah.
trees and let's chat about the video that, like, has 3,000,000
Uh,
views that you just took. What was that experience all about, on this Rocky Mountain safari of yours?
Yeah, that was so crazy. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with everything that you're saying about the Rockies. They are such a special place. Like just getting out in those mountains, like talk about putting things into perspective. Like it's insane. Like that nature can look like that. And one of the big reasons that I go to the Rockies is for the wildlife. So, like I'm living in Africa, organizing safaris, like wildlife is my life. I love leopards. I'll travel for like scuba diving. I've done some Galapagos cruises with my business. I am just all about wildlife. So even when I'm in the Rockies, I'm like, okay, where's the bears? Where's the moose? I got to find me some some wildlife. So I'm always like getting up before the sun, like heading out at sunrise, going to those kind of like lesser traveled roads that like I know that wildlife can sometimes be found there. Just putting in myself in like the best position to hopefully spot something. And I have been on this road. It's called Moline Lake Road. So it's like, I think 45 kilometers heading towards Moline Lake from Jaspertown. And I've seen moose there in the past. I've seen one year, my first year, I saw 5 moose before like 6 a.m. And I was all by myself. And then the next year, I saw 2 moose swimming across this like golden lake at sunrise and then getting out and shaking off. And I was like, okay, is this real life? Like, what's happening?
Wow.
So yeah, like really, really majestic moment. So I know that it's like kind of a common place to see wildlife, especially if you go at the right hours. So this year, I actually finally was able to bring my new husband. He's South African. So we've been on a lot of African safaris together and we've spent a lot of time with wildlife. I was like, okay, I'm taking you on your Canadian safari. So we set off on Moline Lake Road before sunrise and we were just driving. We drove all the way to the lake, saw nothing. It was very like foggy and misty in the morning. And I was like, oh, and it was like -1 degree. So it was quite chilly. And I was like, oh, I didn't find anything. Let me just drive back down the road one more time. So driving down very slowly. And I could not believe my eyes when I saw this moose walking towards us on the road, like it kind of emerged out of the shadows, like this perfect moose shape with its perfect antlers. And so I just pulled over, like hoping to get a glimpse of it because in the past, when I've seen moose, they've been quite skittish and like ran off into the forest. Um, I would never expect it to walk up to our vehicle, let alone do what it did, as you've probably seen in the video. But it kept walking towards us, and we're just sitting there. And we actually had the
And
window open because
your car was parked at this time?
yeah, like when I saw it, I just pulled over,
Yeah.
hoping to get like a second glimpse of it before it ran away. So we're pulled over and we're just sitting there and it keeps walking and it's walking towards us. And we had our window open because like we never expected it to walk right up to us. And by the time that it did, like we didn't want to do up the window or start the car because I didn't want to like frighten the moose. I didn't want to startle it. We were just like, our safari experience is like when an animal's walking by, you are just completely silent and completely still. Like this is the case with like elephants, lions, leopards, like because they see you as a part of the landscape, as like one with the shape of the vehicle. So we were just like still, like completely still. But he came right up and he started licking our car, like licking our side mirror, licking the door, and then he stuck his head into the passenger window and was like sniffing around by the air vent. I guess he felt like the warm air or something. And like, yeah, I still have like moose saliva on my door because I'm never washing that. And he was just, and then he kind of like took his head out. And by that point, I was like, okay, I was like obviously so in awe and I didn't want to push my luck because, I didn't know what would happen. I don't think they would attack if they were unprovoked, but still I didn't want to be too close. So I kind of like slowly lifted my foot off the brake and like rolled away. And you can see I kind of like nudged his nose on the way out. And then it goes to Matt's face, my husband, and he's just like, I like could not believe it. This moose head was just like hovering over his lap.
Wild.
It was
Like,
wild.
so wild. What an experience. And so, uh, yeah, for all the listeners, in the description, we'll put a link to the video so you can actually watch this in real time to see
Yeah.
what Kelly is talking about because it is wild to watch, like the big face right there.
Yeah.
I would feel so freaked out. Like,
Yeah.
that's
I
just
mean,
me.
it's a big animal.
Yeah. And so let's dive into Africa, because as you know, so many people have Africa on their bucket list. And
Mm,
I know I think I read in some of your videos, or maybe it was on your website, you know, you can't, every single person is different when it comes to Africa. You know, what are you looking
yeah.
for? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? And so, just kind of generally speaking, when it comes to Africa, what are some not to miss sites? What do you highly recommend? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to see in Africa. Like, it's really gotten a hold of my heart from like my first visit to Rwanda and Uganda, and I've been to Tanzania and Kenya, obviously South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Mozambique. I'm going to Madagascar in September. So there, it's so diverse, and like the more you explore, the more you realize how much more there is to see, and like how different everything is. So you definitely can't miss a safari. This is the one continent you can do like a proper like safari with these amazing animals that we see growing up in like our children's books or on Lion King, you know? So you have to go and see it in real life. It is, I mean, it definitely changed my life and I would recommend it to everyone. I really, really think it's the best trip that anyone can do because it's so much more than just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love travel like around the world. Like I love going to Europe. I love exploring cities. I love exploring like going to the beach. But a safari is something that will, it's like, it's bigger than ourselves. It's the animals. So we're like witnessing them in their natural habitat. And you never know what you're going to get. Like you're never going to see it all. You don't know what animals you're going to see or interactions you're going to see, how close they're going to get, how it's going to make you feel. So it really is life changing. So absolutely, if you're coming to Africa, you can't miss a safari. And then in terms of a safari, I mean, you have like the Serengeti in Tanzania or the Masai Mara in Kenya, and those are awesome for like seeing the Big Five and the Great Migration and like these iconic landscapes that we have in our mind. I obviously am living in Cape Town. I'm obsessed with South Africa, and our main safari park there is called Kruger National Park.
Mhm.
So when I'm organizing safaris for a lot of my clients, I'll do like a Cape Town and Kruger combination. Um, Staying in like a beautiful lodge or a camp like in the greater Kruger region where you're able to go on game drives. And yeah, Kruger is a very special place, especially one of the reserves is called the Sabi Sands, and that's known for its concentration of leopards, which are my favorite animal. So if you can make that happen, that's like the ultimate bucket list safari to me. And Cape Town's incredible. I mean, Cape Town is mind blowing. It's like such a little gem. It feels like Europe. It feels like LA, parts feel like San Francisco or Vancouver. It's got the mountains, the beach, the city, the vibes, great wine, great food. So those
And
are just
in
some of the can't miss places.
Mhm. Awesome. And in Cape Town, did you have you ever felt unsafe?
Honestly, like I said, nothing's ever happened to me. It's not I feel safe there 100%. Like I live
Yeah.
there now. I literally moved there. I feel completely safe there and it's so magical that like it's really hard not to fall in love with Cape Town if you go because it's absolutely stunning. I mean, I've traveled to like 56 countries and for me there's no comparison whatsoever to Cape Town. So I mean, there's definitely areas that I would recommend avoiding, but I can say the same thing about Vancouver. I mean, I was driving down East Hastings yesterday. I wouldn't be going for a stroll down there. And
Yep.
same thing. Cape Town, like there's certain areas that I wouldn't recommend strolling, especially without like a guide.
Mhm.
As a tourist, like you wouldn't really find yourself in those places. You would be likely to stay in places that are like very tourist friendly. And like I said, as long as you're like minding your belongings, not like swinging around your purse or flashing your fancy jewelry, like you should be just fine. There's like I
Mhm.
would say not a high chance that that would happen compared to anywhere else you'd travel.
Mhm. Okay. And you did mention that you've been to Uganda and Rwanda and, have you ever been to, the Serengeti? I'm assuming yes?
Yeah, yeah. I've hosted a couple group trips there, and I organize trips there for my clients all the time. So it's a very special place.
Mhm. What would you say is, a good time frame for somebody that is brand new to Africa to capture as much as they can, not going overboard, but would you say 2 weeks or would you say 10 days?
Mm. Yeah, I think if you're especially if you're coming from, like, Canada, where we're from, it is quite a journey, like, it's so beyond worth it once you get there, but it can be, like, quite I like to, like, break up the flight with maybe a layover in Europe, like, a couple days in London or Amsterdam or Paris, so that's a nice way to get over there, but once you're there, you probably would wanna spend, like, I think a week would be quite short. I would say maybe 10 days to 14 days, or I'm
Yeah.
actually working on 2 different clients right now that are doing, on their itineraries, and they're both doing 4 weeks. So that's like a proper African adventure. So, I mean, I moved there. That's how bad I was like, okay, a week is not enough. 3 months is not enough. So you can
Yeah.
always fill it. But yeah, I would say minimum like 10 days. And you can always do like a safari for like in South Africa, like my ideal itinerary would be like 4 or 5 days in Kruger on safari, and then you could head to Cape Town for a few days, and then the Winelands and Hermanus, like one of the coastal villages. So you can totally like mix it up. It's not like you are have to be on safari for the whole time. I mean, you can if you want to. That's what I would choose, but there's lots
Mhm.
to do.
Amazing. And when you are organizing these trips or these African safaris, do you typically take groups of 4 people, 10 people? What's your typical group size?
Yeah, I mean, it totally varies. So I do operate as like a tour operator, a travel agent, where I can organize for however many people. So I've done like a family of 12 or like couples or solo trips. So it can totally vary, however many is in your party. But on the trips that I host, which are usually like once or twice a year, it can be anywhere from like 4 to like 12 people, I would say. They're like small group tours,
Yeah.
so quite manageable. Yeah, it just kind of depends on where we're going and the capacity and everything.
Awesome. Now, I know we could probably spend hours talking about each specific destination, but of course we were on, limited time. And so if
Yeah.
people want to check what things and tours and activities that you offer, where can they find the information the best?
Yeah, so I think the best place would be my personal Instagram, which is my name, Kelly Paxian, Kellie, Paxin. So I post everything on there, like details about like client itineraries I'm working on or group tours that I'm hosting, and obviously just my adventures around the world, Canada, Europe, Africa. So that's probably the best. And then on there is linked to my business Instagram, which is adventureless.travel, and my websites and all of that stuff.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, it was such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to come on and chat to you.